Hello everybody, it is I, Captain Oblivious Mist, and today we're going to be doing the complete history of the Mauretania to...
Shut up, you can't sing!
That idiot's gone.
Hey, I'm not an idiot.
Or not. While he's gone, just get into the video, now! In the 1930s, the Great Depression was at its worst, resulting in Cunard having to scrap the legendary Mauretania, as they needed more funds for the brand new Queen Mary. Well, about 2 years later, after the completion of the aforementioned Queen Mary, and during the construction of the RMS Queen Elizabeth, Cunard realised that in the event where one of their beloved queens were under maintenance, they would need a ship to fill in for them. A relief ship, if you would. So, on the 24th of May 1937, the keel for a new ship was laid, beginning the Mauretania II's construction process, starting the life of a legendary liner. I can't find much on her interiors, so all I can really say is she had similar interiors to her running mates Queen Mary and Queen Elizabeth, as she was decorated in an Art Deco style mixed in with a more traditional interior. So I do have a better clue into what powered her, as she had 2 sets of Parsons single reduction geared steam turbines, giving her a service speed of 24 knots, and she was going to be 35,000 tons. Now, as for her construction, as she was assigned the yard number 1029, and she was launched on the July of 1938 by the wife of Percy Bates, who had a few things to say about this new ship that I'll let say herself.
This is a red letter day, not only for me, but for Merseyside. The launch of the largest ship that has ever been built in England. I hope that, like her namesake, she may work her way into the affections of all who have to do with her on both sides of the Atlantic. To the ship and all who serve or sail in her, I wish all good fortune. I name you Mauretania.
She sailed on her maiden voyage on the 17th of June 1939, ironically under the command of the same captain that sent the first Mauretania to the shipbreakers. That must have been awkward. But enough of that, as her maiden voyage marked the beginning of her career as an ocean liner. But this service wouldn't last long, as similar to the Aquitania 25 years earlier, a massive war with Germany would soon plunge Europe into another war. And this war started in September of 1939, when a guy called Adolf Hitler took one look at Poland and went, "Gimme!" thus starting the Second World War. And due to this, Britain needed ships, leading them to requisition the Mauretania. For this, she was painted grey and was equipped with 2 6-inch guns, and shortly after her conversion, she was soon dispatched to America, where she was docked next to the Queen Mary and the SS Normandy. 2 great ocean liner legends, but she wouldn't be here long, as on March of 1940, the Mauretania left New York for Sydney, where she would be converted fully into a troop ship. After this was done, she joined a convoy of largely forgotten ships. These ships were the Empress of Canada, the Empress of Asia, the New Amsterdam, and my personal favourite one, other than the Mauretania, was the Empress of Britain. Just look at her in all her beauty. Ah, stunning. But even though I do have a video on her planned for the future, we are not covering her right now, and we are in fact covering the Mauretania, so back to the Mauretania. As after the Italians got their rear end handed to them in the Middle East, she helped transport prisoners of war, where they would then be interned. During her war duties, she amassed over 500,000 miles. Despite her not being designed for speed and a lack of attention to her engines, she could still operate at 23 knots. How she wasn't exhausted after so many years of work we will never know, as personally I get tired after walking half a mile. But I digress, as in 1945 the Second World War came to an end. For a brief period after the war, the Mauretania transported war brides and repatriated troops. Then finally, in 1946, the Mauretania was returned to the Cunard White Star Line, when they realised that the war had exhausted the Mauretania, and thus, after the war, she was sent for a refit, and soon after the overhaul was complete, she left for New York for the first time since 1939, and about 2 voyages later, she was moved to service in Southampton, where she would serve her intended purpose to cover for Queen Mary and Queen Elizabeth. But she wasn't just an ocean liner, as she was eventually assigned to some lovely cruising, and in 1948 she even brought back the Wright brothers' first aircraft, the Wright Flyer, which was loaned to a science museum for 20 years. Anyways, in 1957 she was finally given air conditioning. I guess you could say that's pretty cool. Fine, I'll stop with the puns. But soon the Mauretania's look would plummet, thanks to this thing beginning to take off. Both literally and metaphorically. In the 1960s, the Mauretania was beginning to face competition from rival ships and airplanes. But fear not, as the Mauretania was assigned to more cruising and was painted green, similar to the Coronia, aka the Green Goddess. She also begun a brand new Mediterranean service, which, to the surprise of literally no one, failed. And due to this, she was mainly employed on cruises in the West Indies, and in 1965 the end of the Mauretania would come, as she left on her final cruise and voyage. During her return voyage from Southampton, it was announced that she was going to be sold, and later, upon her arrival on the 10th of October, she was sent down to Foss D. Ward's shipbreaking, where scrapping commenced, and by 1966 the scrapping process was complete, bringing an end to this once great liner. The remains of her furnishings were sold off after her scrapping, and these interiors were moved into a tea room for a mall in 1969, where they remained until 2001 when the mall was demolished, and the location of these interiors have been unknown ever since, meaning now there is no trace left of the second Mauretania. Hello everybody, it is me again. Sorry about the delay on this video. Probably won't be the first video to be, well, it is the first video to be delayed in a while, but it won't be the last, as this genius is a bit busy with schoolwork. Probably will be until like December. Well, probably midway through December, and then hopefully we'll be able to return to my usual upload schedule during January. Also, another thing is, sorry this video is so short, but it's just a video I've really wanted to do for a while. This ship is like an amazing ship. I absolutely adore her. And another note is, I'd just like to say an extra special thank you to my good mate Joseph Darby for help with the intro. Can't sing, but he helped point that out for me. Apart from that, that's really all I've got to say, other than the fact my next video will be on the Baltic, and then we might be having a look at the Europa. So I'll be seeing you then. Thank you all for watching. Goodbye.